Students, from now onwards, we are discussing a different type of rearrangements. That is, we are studying 5 similar rearrangement reactions with the different names. Okay, in all the 5 mechanisms, it looks quite similar, right? So, we are going into that category. Okay, so look at the heading, rearrangements involving migration from carbon to electron deficient nitrogen. So what does it mean is that a group is migrating from carbon to the nitrogen, electron deficient nitrogen. Look at this. This reaction can be generally expressed like this. Here, since M is a migrating group, M is the group in that diagram, M is the group that is migrating, and it is migrating from O, that is migration origin, to T, that is migration terminus. That is, a group M is moving from O to T, and when this M is reaching T, there is a leaving group at T, and that group will be left. This is the general reaction. That is, if you are applying a nucleophile to the migration origin, then the group M will be migrating to T and a group will be left. Okay, so this type of mechanism, 5 rearrangement reactions are following exactly this pattern. The only change will be leaving group will be different, migrating group will be different, migration origin will be different, but migration terminus will be same. Migration origin is also same, it is carbon. Migration terminus is nitrogen. So a group is migrating from O to T. Okay, and you can consider it as a 1-2 shift. Why? Because the group is migrating to its adjacent position. So it is 1-2 shift. Now, in this case, we can have 2 type of mechanism. The first one, look at that, intermolecular 2-step process with the migration of M. Look at that. If you look at that reaction, here MABZ, that is the migrating group, and it is migrating from O to nitrogen, right? So if it is moving in that direction, what is happening? That O will be having a positive charge where the nucleophile will sure attack, right? So and MABC will be formed at the migration terminus. But what is happening in that reaction? That is, if your migrating group is chiral, what is happening? If MABC is moving, that is MABC is released as MABC negative, with its electrons they are moving to the migration terminus. So the intermediate is formed like that, right? So in that case, you will be having a carbocation. Actually, that is a carbocation because MABC is moving from carbon to nitrogen. So O migration origin is naturally carbon. Okay, so carbocation is formed actually. So carbocation, we know it is planar, trigonal planar geometry, and it has enantiotopic phase. Why it's enantiotopic? Because it can be attacked by from the top side as well as bottom side. So then you will have racemization happening because both side attack through both phases is visible. So it will give you a racemic mixture if the rearrangement is following this mechanism. Okay, if the rearrangement is following this mechanism, then actually racemization is observed. But that is not actually the case. This type of shift is quite rare. Okay, but what we naturally see is the next one. Look at that. It's the intramolecular concerted 1-step process with the migration of M. That is, this is just like an SN2 mechanism. You can compare it like an SN2 mechanism. Okay, that is the group is migrating from O and it attaching to migration terminus. But what is happening in the intermediate? There is a transition state is formed. So in order to form the transition state, what does it mean? The lobes of the MABC, which is attaching to both migration origin and migration terminus, will be same. right? Otherwise there is no transition state formed. Okay, so in that case what we will see is the retention of configuration. Okay, retention of configuration is happening, and this is the actual mechanism which is following in most of the cases, okay, through the transition state mechanism, and quite rarely we will see the previous mechanism. So these are the two type of mechanisms. Now look at this. These are the reactions that I mentioned earlier: Hofmann, Curtius, Lawson and Smith. What is happening in all those rearrangements, all those reactions, what they are doing is they are converting an acid into an amine with one less carbon atom. Okay, and in the case of Beckmann, that is the only exception, but the mechanism is quite similar. What is happening? You will be having a ketoxide with and it is undergoing rearrangement to imide or anilide. Imide is formed if alkyl group is migrating, and anilide is formed if aryl group is migrating. That we will see later. And if you are taking an aldol sign, and if the hydrogen is migrating, you will get an amide, and if the alkyl or aryl group is migrating, you will get an N substituted amide. And that is generally represented like this. Look at that. You have R C double bond N X, right? And what is happening? In the case of Hofmann, that X will be, that leaving group will be bromine, and in Curtius and Smith, that will be N2 plus, that is nitrogen is leaving. In the case of Lawson, it is OCOR. That is, what does that mean? OCOR, that means it's a carboxylate anion is moving. And in the case of Beckmann, it can be an OH group, OX group or RO positive group. And in all those cases, what you are achieving there, that is R C double bond N double bond though, right? That is a isocyanate intermediate. In the case of Beckmann, we will have that also. Okay, so this is the general mechanism, and we will see it one by one. So first we are looking at the Hofmann rearrangement, and look at this. Its starting material is RCOOH, and the actual intermediate compound for the rearrangement, that is the rearrangement. What does that means? What does that column means? Is that this is a rearrangement reaction happening to a particular substrate. Okay, but and all these substrates have been derived from carboxylic acids. That's why we are using starting material as carboxylic acid. But the Hofmann rearrangement starts from RCONH2, that is an amide. We all know how to convert acid to amide, that we will see also. And the reagent is bromine in presence of an alkali. The leaving group is bromine. Final product is RNH2. So upon this reaction, what it's doing is that RCONH2 is converted to RNH2, right, in presence of bromine and alkali. Now, how that intermediate is formed, that you will all know. You take an acyl halide. Acyl halide, as you know, it is prepared from acid, right? Acid converts to acyl halide, and in presence of tritilamine, 1,1,1 triphenyl methanamine is actually tritilamine in presence of a base. What is happening there? NH is, the chlorine is replaced by NH and NHCpH3 group. So what does that mean? So an HCl molecule is getting released in that mechanism, right? And the intermediate is formed. And then in the next stage, what you are doing is you are adding trifluoroacetic acid and methanol there. So acetic acid is an acid, right? It's a strong acid, that we are using a trifluoroacetic acid. Not to increase the strength of acetic acid, we are introducing fluoro groups, electronegative groups. Okay, so in that case, what is happening is that it will provide the H plus, and that H plus will be taken by nitrogen, because nitrogen has lone pair. So NH will be converted to NH2, and that CpH3 group will be released. So this is the way to prepare the intermediate. And now look at the mechanism. In the first step, amide, what is it doing? In presence of a base, it removes one of the proton from NH2 to give the intermediate, right? And then in the next step, you are adding bromine, because the two reagents we are using are bromine and hydroxide. So hydroxide will remove the proton, and the bromine will undergo electrophilic attack. or nitrogen will undergo electrophilic attack to bromine. Okay, so what is happening there? Because in that case what you are getting is a nucleophile. So there is C double bond line, that's a nucleophile, and bromine is a electrophile. So what is happening? The double bond will attack the or will attract the electrophile to its site. So bromine is formed, and then again the base is again abstracting another proton from the NH amino group or amide in fact, and what is happening? NH is converted to N minus with a resonance stabilized structure, and then what is happening? R group, this is the rearrangement that we are seeing, because R group, even N minus is releasing electrons, the R group will migrate to the nitrogen, thereby releasing bromine. That is the most important step, and that is the rearrangement reaction. That is where the rearrangement is happening, because as soon as the nitrogen lone pair is used to form the bond, the R group gets migrated, okay, and thereby leaving the group, leaving bromine. Okay, so this step, these are the two steps which is happening in a concerted fashion. Okay, there is no intermediate formed here. Actually we can expect a nitrine intermediate here, that we will see later how it is formed, how it is rejected, that we will all see, because that is the most important rate determining step that will give you isocyanate. Okay, and this isocyanate upon hydrolysis, what we will know? On hydrolysis, how is it getting? Because we all know it's a carbonyl group. C double bond O is a carbonyl group, and the carbon will be having a positive charge which will attract the OH minus of water molecule. So COOH will be formed there, and the nitrogen will get the H, since nitrogen has lone pair. So in that case what is happening? RNHCOOH is formed, and we all know COOH, there is a carbon dioxide molecule there, so it is an easy leaving group, it will leave with its electrons, so an amine will be formed. So this is the mechanism for what? Hofmann. Okay, so study it. Now what is the evidence that how you can show that this is the actual mechanism? The first evidence is the N-bromamide, the intermediate, one of the intermediate formed there is N-bromamide. It has been isolated in benzene solvent, and the intermediate isocyanate has also been isolated in polar aprotic solvents like chloroform. Okay, so this is the first evidence. And then how you can trap the intermediate? How you can trap this intermediate? Because if you are taking the isocyanate and if you carried out the reaction alcohol, what is happening there? Ethanol, ETOH is ethanol. If you are treating with that, what is happening in ethanol? It is ETO minus and H plus. So H plus will go to nitrogen, and OET minus will go to the carbonyl carbon to give the urethane. Okay, or if it is treated with an amine, what is happening? The proton will go to nitrogen, and the NHR negative will go to the carbonyl carbon. So in such cases you can trap the intermediate if your reaction is conducted in alcohol or in amine, using amine. Okay, and then look at the other evidence. You treat this isocyanate with a glycine, what is happening? In the case of that reaction, what you are observing is that in the glycine, NH2, one of the proton from NH2 will be released, and then what is happening there? BH, NH, C double bond O, NH, carbonyl group, then CH2, COOH is formed there. Okay, so isocyanate reacts with the glycine to give this intermediate. Okay, and then from that intermediate, a water molecule, when it is released, how the water molecule is releasing, that OH group and one of the proton in NH is getting released to give a hydrantium, and that intermediate can be trapped, and this hydrantium can be utilized to synthesize other amino acids as well. Okay, so it's another evidence for this mechanism. Now look at the analysis, how this reaction is getting conducted. The rearrangement of N-bromamide to isocyanate is the slowest step, which proceeds through an SN2 like path, right? And then what is happening is that if the migrating group, one of the R group is getting migrated, right? And if that migrating group is arrived, then the rate of the Hofmann rearrangement gets increased by the presence of electron donating group in the para position of the aromatic ring. Okay, if your migrating group is an arene, then look at that order. You have CONH2 grouping there, and in one of the there is an R group at the para position, and the reactivity order, look at that. If the R is OMe, because OMe group is an electron donating group mesomerically, much more than methyl group, and then proton, chlorine, NO2. So in all these cases, if you are having an electron donating group at the para position of the amide, then the reaction will be much faster. Okay. Now, how you can show that this mechanism is actually intramolecular? Because if it is an intermolecular reaction, that is, in the case of intermolecular reaction, what will you have? The halo group will be released, giving a nitrine intermediate like that, RCON. And if the reaction is conducted, normally the reaction is conducted in presence of water. So if nitrine is formed there, it will sure react with water to give a hydroxamic acid, right? But that is not formed. So you can show that there is no nitrine intermediate which is formed. Okay, now there is another evidence for this. Look at that reaction. There are no crossover products formed in that reaction. See, what is crossover products? In that reaction, you see two amides there. In first amide, you have a deuterium at the meta position and nitrogen is not labeled. In the second one, you have nitrogen labeled as nitrogen 15 and no deuterium there. And if you are reacting this, what you will see, CONH2 will be converted to NH2 group. So the first reactant in that case, CONH2 is converted to NH2 with a deuterium at the meta position, and the second one, nitrogen labeled will be there with no deuterium at the meta position, if that reaction is intramolecular. And if it is intermolecular, there is a chance of migration. What is happening there? Look at that. NH2 group is formed, that is unlabeled nitrogen is formed with no deuterium, and labeled nitrogen is formed with deuterium. That is against the starting material, right? Because in the starting material you have labeled nitrogen without a deuterium, and in the product you have labeled nitrogen with a deuterium. So that is not formed. That is intermolecular mechanism, but that is not formed. So you can show that if there are no crossover products formed, then you can surely say the reaction is. So no crossover products means the reaction is surely intramolecular. Okay. And now this is the another evidence, configuration study. That is, you are having an amide there and you are getting an amine product there, right? So configuration study means if your amide is optically active, and if you are getting also a product. Okay, so configuration study means if there is a retention of configuration, that is, if the same configuration is in the reactant is reproduced in the product, then you can say it is intramolecular mechanism. Okay, so it's intramolecular. So look at that reaction. In that case, what is happening is that CONH2 group at the equatorial position, and in the product also it is at the equatorial position. NH2 group is at the equatorial position. And then look at the another proof. It's a camphoric acid where CONH2 group and COH group are cis, right? Because both are looking down. And if you are treating with the bromine in alkali, CONH2 is converted to NH2. And if you are heating, what is happening there? The NH2 group, in the case of NH2 group, one proton is gone, and in the case of COH, OH group is gone. So water molecule is released. So what is obtained? A lactam is obtained, CONH group in a ring, that is lactam. And this lactam is produced only if those NH2 group and COOH group are cis, right? And your starting material is also cis, camphoric acid. So you can say cis reactant will give you cis product, equatorial amide will give you equatorial amine. So there is a retention. Okay, so you can show the concerted nature. And then look at the next one. It's a bicyclic amide. Again, it's a bicyclic amide. You treat it with the bromine and alkali. The same direction. Where there is CONH2 in the same direction, it is NH2 group. Okay, so there is retention in that case. And now the next one is stereochemistry study. That is, if your reactant is optically active, look at that compound 2-phenylpropanamide. It's optically active compound and you are reacting it. Okay, you are reacting with the bromine in alkali. What you are getting? CONH2 is converted to NH2. Look at the configuration of both these and you will see it's a concerted process. Okay, so the rearrangement is intramolecular concerted process. Retention of configuration is found in the product. Okay, now what are the applications of this mechanism? The first one, the preparation of sterically hindered amines. I told you the starting material is carboxylic acid and you treat it with sulfuric acid and ammonia. Amide is formed there. Then in presence of bromine and alkali, CONH2 is converted to NH2, and this is happening because there are two CH3 groups at the vicinity of the CONH2 group. Still, steric hindrance does not hold any factor in this Hofmann rearrangement. So you can prepare sterically hindered amines. Now, what is the synthesis of wrong substituted aniline in pyridine? Wrong substituted means we all know aniline. It's an orthopara directing activating group. So if you want to introduce an electrophile to aniline, it will naturally come in ortho and para position, right? But here, using this rearrangement, you can prepare meta substituted anilines. How it is happening? Benzoic acid you are taken with the bromine in FeBr3. What you are getting there? COH is a meta-directing group, so the electrophile will be at its meta position. Then you conduct the normal reaction. That is, if you are treating with SOCl2, COH will be converted to COCl, and then if you are treating with ammonia, it will be converted to CONH2, and then bromine and alkali will give you NH2. So in the overall reaction, what you are getting is that you are getting an aniline, and at the meta position there is an electrophile, which you will not normally see in electrophilic substitution reactions of aniline. And then look at this nicotinamide. Nicotinamide, we all know the nucleophile will approach the third position, in fact fourth position, the para position. Okay, so if you are treating with the bromine and alkali, what you are getting? 3-amino pyridine. Okay, now you have two questions to practice. Urea plus bromine, how succinamide can be converted to beta-alanine? If you know the real mechanism, you can surely do it. All the best. Students,